Every year, thousands of men crossed the Sahara carrying a treasure so valuable that people traded it for gold. Many died before reaching their destination. Some disappeared beneath violent sandstorms. Others succumbed to thirst, never reaching the next oasis. Yet the caravans never stopped, because those who survived helped build one of Africa's richest empires. But the treasure wasn't hidden inside a royal vault. It wasn't gold. It wasn't jewels. It was salt. This is the forgotten story of the kingdom that discovered the true value of the world's simplest mineral. What if everything you learned about wealth in medieval Africa was incomplete? Today, salt is so common that we barely think about it. But centuries ago, in parts of West Africa, salt could be as valuable as gold because it preserved food, sustained life, and was scarce in many regions south of the Sahara. By the end of this documentary, you'll understand how the trade in salt helped transform Songhai into one of the greatest empires in African history, and why historians continue to study this remarkable network of commerce that connected Africa, North Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. The importance of the trans-Saharan salt trade is documented by medieval writers including Ibn Battuta, al-Bakri, and later Leo Africanus. Modern archaeological research has confirmed the existence of extensive salt mining settlements in the Sahara. Long before coins, before banks, before powerful kingdoms dominated West Africa, people had already discovered something essential. Salt was necessary for life. The human body cannot function without it. In hot climates, where people lost salt through sweat, it became even more important. Salt also preserved food. Fish caught along the Niger River could last for weeks. Meat from livestock could survive long journeys. Communities that controlled reliable supplies of salt held an enormous advantage. It was not a luxury, it was a necessity. That necessity created demand. Demand created trade. And trade laid the foundation for empires. The Sahara Desert was not always a desert. Millions of years ago, parts of North Africa were covered by ancient inland seas. As those waters slowly evaporated, they left behind vast layers of salt buried beneath the earth. One of the richest deposits lay in a remote place called Tagaza. Today it sits in northern Mali. In the 15th century, it became one of the most important salt-producing centers in the world. Workers carved massive slabs directly from the ground. Each block could weigh more than 30 kilograms. These blocks would soon begin one of history's most dangerous journeys. Archaeological investigations at Tagaza have confirmed extensive medieval salt mining. Historical descriptions by Ibn Battuta and Leo Africanus closely match the physical remains found at the site. To outsiders, Tagaza seemed almost impossible. Nothing grew there. There were no fertile fields, almost no trees. Fresh water had to be brought from distant wells. Yet hundreds of people lived and worked in this harsh environment. Why? Because beneath their feet lay one of the Sahara's greatest treasures. When the Moroccan traveler Ibn Battuta arrived in 1352, he recorded something extraordinary. He wrote that the houses were built from blocks of salt, with camel skins forming the roofs because timber was scarce. Centuries later, archaeologists found evidence supporting those descriptions. Tagaza was not a legend. It was real, and it supplied the mineral that helped feed an empire. The journey from Tagaza to the great cities of the Niger River could take weeks, sometimes months. The caravan leaders relied on memory, experience, and the stars. There were no roads, no signposts, only endless sand. A single mistake could prove fatal. Water sources were precious and carefully guarded. Bandits watched from the dunes. Sandstorms could erase every track within minutes. Yet the caravans continued, because each successful journey multiplied the value of every block of salt. And someone was about to realize that controlling these routes was far more profitable than simply mining the salt itself. That someone was the rising kingdom of Songhai. If you're enjoying this documentary, don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and turn on the notification button for more history. Let's continue. While caravans crossed the Sahara, a new power was rising in West Africa. Its name was Songhai. At first, Songhai was only one kingdom among many along the Niger River. But its rulers understood something few others did. The greatest wealth wasn't buried underground. It was moving across the desert. Every caravan, every merchant, every camel, every block of salt. If they could control the trade routes, they could control the wealth of an entire continent. That vision transformed Songhai from a regional kingdom into Africa's largest empire. Then came a ruler unlike any before him, Sunni Ali, known as the Warrior King. He understood that military power and economic power were inseparable. Instead of attacking distant kingdoms without purpose, he captured the cities that controlled trade.
Gao, Chen,
Timbuktu. Each victory tightened Songhai's grip over the Sahara. Merchants who once feared bandits now traveled under imperial protection. In return, they paid taxes, not just on gold, not just on ivory, but on every precious block of salt entering the empire. The desert itself had become a source of government revenue. The caravans became larger than ever before. Some stretched for nearly 2 miles. More than 2,000 camels marched in single file. Each animal carried 2 enormous slabs of salt. The journey lasted weeks, sometimes months. The dangers never disappeared. Water could run out. Sandstorms could erase the trail. Entire caravans vanished without explanation. Yet the rewards outweighed the risks. When a merchant reached the markets of the Niger River, the value of that salt had multiplied several times over. Few businesses in medieval history produced greater profits. To many people today, trading gold for salt sounds impossible. But in parts of medieval West Africa, it happened, not because gold had little value, but because salt had become essential for survival. Gold could buy luxury. Salt preserved food. Gold decorated kings. Salt kept communities alive. In regions where salt was scarce, its price soared. Arab historian al-Bakri described salt as one of the most valuable commodities traded across the Sahara. Centuries later, the famous traveler Ibn Battuta would also write about the enormous importance of the salt trade in West Africa. Their accounts match archaeological discoveries made in the Sahara today. History wasn't exaggerating. Salt truly was priceless. As the taxes poured in, Songhai grew richer. Its rulers built larger armies, expanded their cities, protected merchants, encouraged trade, and invested in learning. What began as a kingdom beside a river was becoming one of the world's greatest commercial empires. But another surprise awaited. Salt alone didn't make Songhai famous. Knowledge did, because hidden behind its busy markets stood one of the greatest centers of learning on earth, Timbuktu. The wealth from salt didn't simply create rich merchants. It built one of history's greatest centers of knowledge. While much of Europe was emerging from the Middle Ages, thousands of students traveled across Africa and the Islamic world to study in Timbuktu. Its libraries held hundreds of thousands of handwritten manuscripts. Its scholars debated astronomy, medicine, mathematics, law, and philosophy. But here's the astonishing part. Much of this intellectual golden age was funded by the trade in salt crossing the Sahara. The simplest mineral on Earth had helped finance one of humanity's greatest civilizations. If you're enjoying uncovering these forgotten chapters of African history, take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications. It helps us bring more evidence-based documentaries to viewers around the world. Share this video with someone who thinks African history began with colonization, because the story is only getting more incredible. Watch the next video for more interesting history documentaries.